live earlier today, decided to go again. This time we're on the YouTube app. So cool. What's up? How are you all? Happy Thursday. Hello, how are you all? Hello, welcome. Oh, my heater just went on. I thought I turned that off. Welcome to the live. Hello. Hi, Richard. Hi, Tannel. Oh, it's Tannel. Tanner, oh, it's you again. I decided to go back. I like going live actually in the, excuse me, I prefer to go live within the app. That's why I changed. My other live was in StreamYard. So there's a lot of really big news today. Some of the news is this huge arrest. That was what my last live was about. I have some footage from the press conferences, and yeah, there was a big arrest in Virginia, not that far from where I am at all. This was a really big leader within MS-13. That is a gang that has been deemed a terrorist organization. So it's good they got that guy off the street, and this isn't far from me. This is like where they got this guy was probably about an hour and a half from me, so not that far at all. And unfortunately, even though, hi Dave, I made it this time. Oh, I'm glad you made it. That's why I wanted to go live again, because my last one wasn't very long. That was really just about getting that information out there and getting it posted. So I wasn't on for a very long time. I wasn't really able to interact, but now I can, so that's cool. Hopefully everyone's having a good week. I haven't done one of these just chill lives in a while, so I'm excited. Okay, there's that. Good. I'm trying to revamp the YouTube channel. I've been neglecting the YouTube community. So we had this big arrest, this MS-13 arrest in Virginia. This is significant, obviously, for a bunch of different reasons, but just because you live in a red state does not mean that you don't have sanctuary jurisdictions within your state. A lot of times these local municipalities will do things sort of under the radar. They'll kind of sneak around the exact language, and they'll have sanctuary policies. For instance, in the state of Virginia, we're supposed to be a red state here, not sanctuary. Glenn Youngkin, he's like our Republican darling as a leader, but you'll have local jail jurisdictions. The actual jails themselves will not cooperate with ICE, which is very alarming, very alarming. They shouldn't be allowed to do that, but they do that a lot, actually. So you have that situation. Harvey, are you Polish? I am not Polish. I don't have any, I am Italian, German mostly, a little bit French, but no Polish. When my hair was very blonde, I had a lot of people that thought I was Nordic. I'm not at all. Not at all. Hi, Damien. How are you doing? Yeah, and this is what's wild too. You still have these, hi Walkie, you still have these activist judges that are trying to push back against getting these criminals out of the country. And this individual that they just caught in Virginia, this guy is from El Salvador, and he's a big East Coast leader, allegedly in the MS-13 gang, which the MS-13 gang has just been designated a terrorist organization. So the likelihood that he's going to be going to CCOT, I would say is pretty high. CCOT is that big, like, mega security prison in El Salvador. Being that he's from El Salvador and he's a suspected big gang leader in MS-13, I would imagine that's exactly where he's going. Glad I'm not him. Richard, you're Swedish and Russian American. Wow, speaking of immigration and speaking of people that are they keep trying to fight back against this, we have, okay, police in New York face backlash for assisting ICE. See, this is the type of crap people are getting. And the ones that they're going after right now are the worst of the worst. The biggest public safety threats are the ones that they're going after now. And you have people, like, the political brain rot is so real in this country. You have people fighting to keep the bad guys in our country. Here, let's listen to this.
Watching the body-worn camera footage, what is concerning to me is...
Good evening, I'm Matt Malloy. The actions of multiple RPD officers under review tonight. The mayor says when Border Patrol officers called for backup on Monday evening, several city officers responded, and in the course of helping with the traffic stop, they violated the terms of Rochester's sanctuary city status. 13 Wham's Daniel Finkelstein joins us now with a breakdown of what the mayor says happened, how the police union is responding, and what happens next. Daniel, good evening.
Good evening, Matt. While helping on that traffic stop, Mayor Evans says RPD officers verbally directed the occupants to exit the vehicle and then helped handcuff him. That's where he says city police went too far. It happened early Monday evening near here, Whitney Street off Lyle Avenue on the city's west side.
The Rochester Police Department received an emergency request for backup at the scene of a traffic stop.
A request from Border Patrol officers who had stopped a van. Chief David Smith says when a police supervisor arrived, he canceled the emergency response based on what he saw.
From watching the body-worn camera footage, what is concerning to me is, despite the fact that we were called, we went lights and siren, I see in the video a total lack of urgency on the part of multiple Border Patrol officers at the scene.
Smith says Border Patrol should have initiated contact with those in the car, but instead it was RPD. The mayor says city officers acted outside their scope.
The officers on the scene were verbally directed the occupants to get out of the vehicle. And this is against our policy.
Rochester's sanctuary city resolution was passed in 1986 and was later reaffirmed in 2017. That and RPD's General Order 502 prohibits RPD from enforcing federal immigration law, but allows for certain levels of assistance, only to ensure the safety of those involved.
We are not to be handcuffing subjects. We are not to be doing pet frisks on subjects.
And we are
absolutely not going to be detaining them or putting them into our cars.
The circumstances surrounding why...
Sorry, I'm not smiling because I just get annoyed at these people. I'm so annoyed at them.
The van and its estimated 8 people were stopped remain unclear, but city leaders say RPD should not have helped as they did. Mayoral candidate Mary Lupian says she has seen the video, which she says shows more than 8 RPD officers threatening immigrant construction workers inside the van. At one point, threatening to break the...
It's just, first of all, sanctuary cities, it shouldn't be a thing. And Trump is working on signing things to at least get rid of them. If you're a sanctuary city, in my opinion, you don't get any federal funding. You should not be getting federal funding. You are not working with federal agencies that are trying to get public safety threats off the street. And especially that's what's happening right now. That's the only people they're going after right now. Like in Virginia, what I brought up in Virginia, so the big news was this MS-13 guy that got arrested in Virginia, an hour and a half away from where I am. And So in Virginia, Virginia, by the way, is a red state, but you have sanctuary jurisdictions within the jails. So I go to if you go to the website, it's called the Center for Immigration Studies. They have an interactive sanctuary map where you can click on different jurisdictions. And in the state of Virginia, so the state of Virginia doesn't necessarily have like a sanctuary city. It's not a sanctuary state. It doesn't have sanctuary counties. But what it does have, when you click on all these little areas in Virginia, you'll have jail regions, actual jail regions that say it is our jail policy that we don't cooperate with ICE. That is bonkers to me. Absolutely bonkers that you work in law enforcement and you're not going to cooperate with federal agents. And by the way, by the time they make it to a jail, not only are you in the country illegally, so you've already broken a law, you broke into our country, you jumped the border, now you got picked out for something else. There are people that grow up that live into their 90s. They've been American citizens their whole lives and they've never been arrested. Yet you have someone here for just a short amount of time. They break the law getting into this country and then they can't even last a year or two without breaking more laws. And then you have jails that are supposed to be there for public safety that are not cooperating with ICE because why? That's why I don't think they should be getting any funding. And then you have judges coming in here ordering public safety threats to remain in our country. When you are on that position, that now you are on the position where you are fighting to keep public safety threats in our country, you have lost the plot. We have lost the plot. Here's
No longer talked about this. It is my
actually okay, so and well, what you have now, so what they're doing in Virginia and also what they're doing in Florida, I don't know if any other states signed on, but essentially they have signed on, the governor Ron DeSantis and then Glenn Youngkin, the governor of Virginia, both of them have signed on to train and deputize their local law enforcement so they can help federal agents with immigration enforcement, which I think is great. And the point that Ron DeSantis was making was that, yeah, the Trump administration, they can work as hard as they can do this and that, but we're going to have to help them. We have way too many people in this country. So they're going to need local law enforcement to help assist with this too, to get these public safety threats out as quickly as possible, which I agree. So I know for sure that Virginia is doing that and Florida is doing that. I don't know what other states are doing that, but every single state can do that. Yeah, highway patrol. And Florida's already caught some. Virginia's caught some. So I think every state should do it, and every state can do it. All right, let's move on to this signal stuff. This is Charlie Kirk on some of this signal stuff.
The signal situation is continuing, and I would love to no longer talk about this.
Same here. To me, I don't care. The only reason I care about it is, it's obviously a story, but also Democrats are really trying to use this. They really think they have something here. They really, really think, oh, this is proof. Look how incompetent the Trump administration is. They're putting out all these secrets, although Tulsi Gabbard, Pete Hegseth, all of these people confirmed there were no top secret war plans that were leaked during this whole thing. Should it have happened? No. Was it an oopsie? Yes. But there wasn't anything that was huge, classified, top secret information that went out. This was essentially a back and forth about this singled out attack on the Houthis, and the attack went off without a hitch. It was successful. So we learned our lesson. Let's move forward. But Democrats obviously are going to have a heyday with this. This is like their Christmas.
It is my preference to go talk about other issues that are occurring right now. There's a lot of good things happening. Our southern border is secure. Governor Kristi Noem is going to, and she's visiting El Salvadorian prisons. But this is a very, very important story. And let me tell you why, because it is revealing a fault line of actually what divides the Republican Party. The Republican Party is not divided based on domestic policy. We're actually largely in agreement. We want low taxes. We want economic freedom, even deportations. You're not going to find a lot of fight amongst rank and file Republican senators about this. Instead, the fault line, the dividing line in the Republican Party is foreign policy.
That's true. There is a big divide right now, especially when it comes to Israel. There's a huge dividing line within the Republican Party. And it's very odd. It's really odd to see, and for me, it kind of came out of nowhere. Obviously, it started on October 7th, and the first time I really saw this was probably October 8th. I was staying in New York City, and what I saw was alarming because it was October 8th. Nobody had any time to react. We were just learning about this attack, and you had hundreds of people in Times Square celebrating. Now they weren't just pro-Palestine. That's not what they were celebrating. They were actually celebrating the attack, and a lot of people forget that.
It is foreign policy. It's whether or not you want to continue the great American empire, if you want to invade more sovereign countries, if you believe the Iraq war and the Afghanistan war were a success or a mistake. The J.D. Vance America First force that President Trump has been pushing forward, the President Trump J.D. Vance force, I should say, is one of America First. Not America only, but America First. Where the other side of the Republican Party is America everywhere, all the time, regardless of the cost, the consequences, or the issues that we might intentionally or unintentionally make happen. The fallout from the Signal chat is revealing this fault line. It is revealing the fault line because on one side you have the neoconservatives, and on the other side you have the realists. You have the America First patriots, and they are trying to use this as an opportunity, the neoconservatives on Capitol Hill, the neoconservatives within our deep state of government, to remove the good guy.
Where did he go? Everyone's saying we need to stop trying to keep the whole world up. Oh, someone said, anyone else wonder if inviting that journalist was on purpose, not for nefarious reasons, but they knew that he would spy and report what they said. They knew the American people would like it and the Dems would pounce. I mean, it really, it just, honestly, my takeaway from it was, okay, cool. My takeaway was that, J.D. Vance and a lot of these guys, they're exactly who they say they are on TV. It was actually kind of a nice thing. Oh, look, they're who they say they are. Isn't that lovely? That's a nice touch. I didn't mind it at all. The people making a really big deal about this, it's just, to me, it's just kind of dishonest. And then you have Chuck Schumer over here. Chuck Schumer on Signal messages, Pete Hegseth should lose his job. And then this was in direct contradiction. Okay, so Chuck Schumer, 2025 on the Signal messages, Pete Hegseth should lose his job. 2021 on the Afghanistan pullout, in which we lost 13 Americans, he said, hey, I'm not into pointing fingers. That's everything you need to know right there. That just perfectly sums up the actual dishonesty and the hyper-partisanship that comes from the left. Not that every single Republican is guilty, but it's way worse on the left. I think we all know that. Tom Homan, a successful operation this morning in Virginia led to the capture of a top MS-13 national leader. Your call, America, Gitmo or CCOT? I think he's going to CCOT. He's from so this top MS-13 guy, East Coast leader is what they're calling him. This guy, he's from El Salvador. So that's where CCOT is. CCOT is in El Salvador. So hopefully he's going there. CCOT is that mega terrorist confinement center. And MS-13 was designated a terrorist organization. So he can go to CCOT. That's where I want him to go. Here's Kash Patel.
Good cops be cops across this. This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And we're going to continue to let good cops be cops across this country. President Trump gave us the executive decision to go after and safeguard our communities. General Bondi is our warrior of justice leading that charge. Governor Youngkin, it's an honor to be a partner in this operation with you and U.S. Attorney Siebert. This is the mandate we have.
I agree. You can go anywhere else. Just get the heck out of here. Is that it? I had a bug on me.
Right now we have an American dying every 7 minutes from a drug overdose. That is a national security crisis we have not seen ever before. We have a woman or child being raped every 6.5 minutes in this country. We have a homicide twice an hour. No part of that metric is a safe and secure America. But thanks to the brave leadership of this administration and the folks that you see here, we are returning our communities to safety. As you heard, we took down this morning a top leader of MS-13. That is not done easily. That is done with
Guantanamo Bay, is that closed? Oh no, it's not closed.
brilliant law enforcement. And right here, I'm proud, and I think the governor knows I'm biased, having graduated from the University of Richmond, to have this here in the state of Virginia, here in our Northern Virginia residence.
Okay, that's an interesting point. Someone said, Tony said, why can't we just legalize weed grow? Well, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why. Because a lot of states that did, not all of them, but let's look at California, for example. Because a lot of these politicians that are legalizing it, they're not very smart, and they're allowing way too many loopholes in these laws. So, for instance, yeah, but none of that money is going where it is. So in Colorado, it's a disaster. And I'll tell you why in a minute. In California, it's a disaster. And none of that money is going to this state. These states are still bankrupt. They're still in deficits. So clearly that money is being mismanaged. And also in California, what you had happen is when they legalized recreational marijuana, they also decriminalized illegal grows. So when they did that, yeah, you had a new industry that was booming, but you also now you have Chinese nationals all up and down the state of California. You also have cartels all up and down the state of California with illegal grows. They're stealing water, they're terrorizing small towns, and who knows what they're putting in a lot of their marijuana. You now have marijuana that's laced with fentanyl. You're even hearing stories about vapes that are laced with fentanyl. So that's my issue. I'm all for marijuana being legalized. That's just not a hill that I'm going to die on. I'm all for it, but you also have to have common sense laws, and you have basically idiots that already don't know how to run their states that are legalizing these things, and they're making too many loopholes, and they're actually making it even more dangerous. Yeah, that's my problem with California because, yeah, they decriminalized illegal grows. I would think if you're going to me, the smart thing would be if you're going to legalize it, make penalties harsher for people that are doing it illegally. Because we're saying you can do it legally. You just have to, meet A, B, C, D, and E. But when they did that, they also decriminalized illegal grows. So now you have cartel all over the place. You're actually hearing about cartel having weed grows even in the Midwest now. Or not cartel. Well, probably cartel too, but for sure Chinese nationals. And I don't mind it. Another problem I have, so I actually, it's funny because I lived in Denver, Colorado when we voted to legalize it recreationally there. And again, I just see so many mistakes because I watched it from, you know, when people were protesting at Capitol to try to get it legalized all the way to, you know, years after it was legalized. And it's just a mess. You have these streets that are nothing but, like, for instance, one of the things that made the news was this area of Denver, Colorado. It used to be called Antique Row, and it was all these like cute little antique stores. Now it's all marijuana grow. Now it's all like weed shops. So I'm okay with having it legalized. I voted 2 times. I voted in Colorado and in California to have it legalized, but I also see the mistakes that they made with the laws that they put into action. So I'm all for it being legalized, but you have to have common sense laws. And I think you need to enforce if you're going to legalize it, enforce or make criminal penalties harsher for the people that do it illegally. Wasn't California giving out crack pipe kicks? I'm sure. If it sounds ridiculous, it probably did happen. I would assume that it did happen. If you stop it. I'm sorry, my mic stand is right there. I'm not even using it, but it's in the way. If there is a ridiculous policy that you hear a rumor about and it has anything to do with California, more than likely that rumor is true. So if it's out, the more ridiculous it sounds, the more it's probably true. Thank you very much, Stuart. We have 1 membership. Thank you. And we are going to start to do member-only lives, which I'm excited about. But we need a few people going, so it's not just 2 of us hanging out. And it shouldn't even be. It shouldn't even be that complicated. Nothing. It really shouldn't. But California messed up big time with the legalization. And that's where you're hearing about. I mean, think about it too. A lot of the fentanyl is coming from China. And you have Chinese nationals that have these huge illegal marijuana grows. Not only that, we were even talking about these Chinese baby farms. Hold on. This is a thing too. This is something we need to be worried about. China is one of our biggest adversaries. Do we want them in our country making drugs? Probably not.
The Chinese couple comes over after the birth, a way of creating U.S. citizens for their intelligence services and their military. It's dangerous. Chinese couples are hiring American surrogates and having them give birth to their kids in America.
I don't know what it's like, those will be a few times a month. I don't know what it's set at. It's not a lot. It's like less than $5, I think. Hold on.
America. Then the Chinese couple comes over after the birth and takes.
Not only are they buying farms, they're now baby farming, and this is really scary. China was buying. Oh yeah, they're buying up farmland. They have illegal grows, and they're baby farming too. Yeah, even NPR reported on this. Inside Chinese funded and staffed marijuana farms. NPR reported on this. Yeah, see? March 14th, 2024. So this was Chinese organized crime dominates America's illicit marijuana market. And we're hearing stories about fentanyl popping up in marijuana.
Way of creating U.S. citizens for their intelligence services and their military. It's dangerous. Chinese couples are hiring American surrogates and having them give birth to their kids in America. Then the Chinese couple comes over after the birth and takes the kid back to China with a U.S. passport.
Harvey said a lot of people don't even keep up with what's going on in this country. No, because it's hard and it's happening right under our nose, all of this stuff. And think about all of that combined. You have them buying up farmland for whatever reason. You have these illegal grows all over the place. And now you have this whole baby farming thing, which Brian Enton from Newsmax just uncovered.
Way of creating U.S. citizens for their intelligence services and their military. It's dangerous. Chinese couples are hiring American surrogates and having them give birth to their kids in America. Then the Chinese couple comes over after the birth and takes the kid back to China with a U.S. passport. In the 2000s, everybody talked about pregnant women coming to America on tourist visas and then giving birth in the United States to a child with automatic American citizenship. It was called birth tourism. Now the Chinese families are taking it a step further. In the words of Brian Enton, renting a womb. News Nation senior correspondent Brian Enton is with us now for his exclusive reporting.
So Brian Enton, I keep saying Newsmax. He's with News Nation. He's one of my favorites now because he'll get a lot of these stories that no one else is really talking about.
Brian, is this a one-off thing or is this actually happening at scale?
No, it's happened tens of thousands of times across the United States. We learned when we went out to California, Leland. We went out to look into the birth tourism scheme because there's been a lot of recent busts involving the feds, even though it's been going on for a long time. And they've sort of got that under control. And it's against the law because these women overstay their visas. They come on a tourist visa, they stay, they have the baby, and then they go back to China. But while we were in California, we learned about this new rent-a-womb scheme, which is almost more alarming.
It's so creepy and dark. You just think about it. It's so dark.
Because it
really
is not
is
illegal. It's a loophole. This is actually one of the motels that we went into where some of the pregnant women stay. And basically with the rent-a-wombs, you've got these parents in China who spend hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's happening thousands of times. And they pay a woman in America that has the sperm and the egg from China inside of them. They use the American womb. The American woman gives birth to the Chinese baby. And then the baby gets the U.S. passport, but immediately goes back to China with no allegiance whatsoever to America, but is an American citizen. I spoke to the acting U.S. attorney in Los Angeles about this. They are very alarmed. Listen to this, Leland. What happens in 20 years? Is there any concern that they could become spies, that the Chinese government could use them somehow because they'll have the American passport?
Anytime that somebody has a U.S. passport, it means that they have access to the United States. They will give you the example. Child born in Irvine in 2015 goes back and ultimately joins the Chinese military at age 20. Having a U.S. passport. That
Creepy.
provides a real national security asset to China and a real problem to the United States.
Yeah.
So they might be babies now, Leland, but just like the acting U.S. attorney said, the concern is in 20 years if they're in the Chinese army and they possess a U.S. passport and they can come and go freely, that is very, very valuable to.
Very alarming. And this is exactly why. So Trump signed an executive order to attempt to end birthright citizenship. So that's what they're using to do all of this stuff is that 14th Amendment, that birthright citizenship, which, by the way, birthright citizenship was made. The reason that is in is because that was made to protect emancipated slaves. And obviously we don't have that issue anymore. So And the argument that the Trump administration is making, we're going to get into this in a second, is that this 14th Amendment, this birthright citizenship, has been misinterpreted and is allowing people to do stuff like this and to take advantage of our country and infiltrate our country. Some of our biggest adversaries, for instance, some of the biggest people that use this rent-a-room type of loophole, it's Russia and China, which are two of our biggest adversaries.
To the Chinese government. And by the way, cost $200,000 roughly to do this, not against the law. The American women make about $70,000 to have the Chinese baby.
Exactly, and then they're taking advantage of probably very low-income American women.
Leland?
Stunning. Follow the money always. And there's no way to stop this short of what? A law and then somehow trying to change birthright citizenship?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's a couple of Congress people right now. They had a hearing up on the Hill about it last month that are very concerned. It's a loophole. The U.S. attorney is concerned, but there's no way to stop it right now. I mean, obviously, President Trump is looking into the whole birthright citizenship thing, but yeah, they're getting away with it.
Yeah, and already have tens of thousands of babies. So
wild. Okay, here's a piece of that hearing they were talking about.
Policy implications will come up. And it would be a disservice not to text and history of the 14th Amendment. But no doubt some of the policy implications will come up. And it would be a disservice not to at least mention those important issues implicated by the constitutional question. In addition to twisting the Constitution and court precedent, conferring automatic citizenship is a bad policy. It devalues the meaning of American citizenship by bestowing it to the children of lawbreakers who entered the United States without the consent of its people, almost rewarding them for trespassing into our country's soil. To add context, an estimated 124,000 to 300,000 so-called anchor babies, which are children born to illegal aliens, are born each year according to the Center for Immigration Studies. In 2023, up to 250,000 children were born to illegal aliens in 2023, which accounted for 7% of total births in the nation that year. Moreover, it further strains government programs that are already strained. For example, in terms of supplemental nutrition assistance, SNAP, which provides school meals, Americans shell out $5 billion each year in SNAP and food stamps for the U.S.-born children of illegal aliens, according to a 2023 report by the Federation for American Immigration Reform. If one looks at the amount illegal aliens and their U.S.-born children are projected to consume in federal welfare program benefits, the American taxpayer foots an even larger bill. Take, for example, in a July 2024 report, the Congressional Budget Office that answers to us concluded that the federal government is projected to spend $177 billion in welfare benefits to illegal aliens and their U.S.-born children over the next 10 years. Now, mindful, that is a larger population, but it is clear that the birthright citizenship issue implicates those issues. This $177 billion includes Medicaid, SSI, Obamacare premium tax credits, food stamps, and more. Ending universal birthright citizenship and thereby ending birth tourism, a practice in which pregnant women travel to the United States to give birth and secure citizenship for their children, is good policy.
I think we're one of the only countries that allows this. It's wild.
Birth tourism diverts U.S. medical resources away from our own mothers and babies and allows shady and unscrupulous birth tourism agencies, quote unquote, to prey on expectant 20,000 and 6,000 foreign tourists in the U.S. giving birth on our soil annually. As far back as 2008, the CEO of the McAllen, Texas Medical Center, where about 40% of births were to illegal alien mothers.
Can you believe that? In the McAllen Medical Center, 40% of those births are women who are in this country illegally. That's taking away, first of all, that's taxpayer money because that's probably a publicly funded hospital that gets public funds, so that's taxpayer money. And that's also care that is being taken away from American mothers. 40%, that's almost half of the births in that hospital. So that is care that is being taken away from American mothers, given to women that are not in this country illegally and that can't even pay for their services. That's an atrocity.
Stated that, quote, mothers about to give birth walk up to the hospital, clearly having just swum across the river in actual labor. Just as concerningly, adversaries like China are abusing universal birthright citizenship and practicing birth tourism to nestle deeper into U.S. society, which carries security concerns. In 2018, Georgetown Law's O'Neill Institute wrote the following, quote, women from foreign countries, mainly China and Russia, are paying tens of thousands of dollars to temporarily relocate to the United States during their pregnancy in order to give birth in the United States and thereby guarantee U.S. citizenship for their child. To shed light on the magnitude of this abuse, China hosts over 500 companies offering birth tourism services, resulting in more than 50,000 Chinese nationals delivering babies in the United States every year, according to a 2019 estimate. The Constitution does not require us to allow this practice, and we should not. Even late Senate Democrat Majority Leader Harry Reid recognized the disastrous policy implications of birthright citizenship as he opposed automatic citizenship for children born to foreigners. He said the following in a 1993 speech on the Senate floor, quote, if making it easy to be an illegal alien isn't enough, how about offering a reward for being an illegal immigrant? No sane country would do that, right?
Yeah, we're basically awarding people for coming and taking advantage of our laws by saying, oh, you had a child here, now that child is a citizen. And they'll take that child back to their home country, raise the child there. And then even in this hearing, you have Democratic officials arguing to keep this. It's wild.
Citizens.
Here's Harriet Hedgeman.
Citizens. Once the children turn 21, they can sponsor their parents to become legal U.S. residents so the family can immigrate to America. Concerningly, the majority of these birth tourists come from one of America's greatest adversaries, including China. Because of advances in technology, lax surrogacy laws, and the incorrect understanding of the 14th Amendment, countries are now using international surrogacy programs to rent wombs in America. Mr. O'Brien, there is a back and forth in U.S. policy regarding scrutiny and restrictions for birth tourism, including 2 different policies issued in 2015 and 2020. Where do citizens, once the children turn 21, they can sponsor their parents to become legal U.S.
And it's funny, too, because during this hearing, they had someone there that was advocating to keep birthright citizenship. And, of course, this person was an immigration lawyer. I do not like immigration lawyers at all. Not at all.
According to the Heritage Foundation, they have reported on a new birth tourism tactic which uses international commercial surrogacy to exploit America's misinterpretation of the 14th Amendment and our lax surrogacy laws. Intended parents who are foreign nationals use a surrogate in or transported to the United States, and the surrogate may be an American woman who then gestates a child for a fee, allowing foreign nationals to essentially rent a room or buy a baby. Mr. O'Brien, under the current wrongful interpretation of the 14th Amendment, this child would gain U.S. citizenship, wouldn't they?
Yes, they would. And because the Immigration and Nationality Act has become a muddle under the weight of misinterpretations about various effects of...
Yeah, so the one person, Kelly, we're talking about birthright citizenship. So Trump is trying to end birthright citizenship. Brian Enton from News Nation found this huge scandal where rich Chinese families are basically renting American wombs, and these American women are being put up in hotels and having babies for these Chinese couples. The Chinese couples are then taking the babies back home, raising them in China, having that dual citizenship, and they think this is a big national security breach, obviously.
Provisions of the act. That places the United States in a position where people with no connection to the United States who simply want to be here because they either don't like the political or economic conditions in their home country can then use the citizenship of an adopted child or a surrogate child to try and access the United States and then eventually get lawful permanent residence and become citizens themselves.
So this form of birth tourism actually exacerbates the crisis we have with birth citizenship, requiring direct and exclusive allegiance, which should require direct and exclusive allegiance to the United States. Don't you agree?
Yes, it does. It exacerbates it.
So basically what they're arguing is that we've been misinterpreting this law the entire time, because within the birthright citizenship, it says that it's subject to jurisdiction and that you are not supposed to have an allegiance to another country. So if you have an allegiance to China, then that shouldn't be allowed. But the Trump administration is arguing that this entire 14th Amendment has been misinterpreted this entire time, and it's allowing people to completely take advantage of it. And remember what he said, this hospital in Texas, 40% of the births are from illegal immigrants.
Significantly.
Well, what's very interesting is China banned international surrogacy.
And this is crazy too. China banned this practice, yet they're the biggest consumer of it in the United States. Crazy.
Yet the international industry is disproportionately fueled by Chinese nationals who make up 41.7% of this surrogacy industry. Should this raise national security concerns that China is aggressively participating in a practice that it has banned in its own country?
Yes, China has an established pattern through an organization called the People's Work Bureau of approaching people who have a familial connection to China, regardless of their citizenship, and then pressuring them based on connections to Chinese family members who are still within the PRC to provide intelligence information, whether that be national security information or economic espionage information.
Well, and what's interesting is that these children who...
I think the PRC is the People's Republic of China. Is that correct? The People's Republic of China. China.
Who are receiving American citizenship, they receive that even if the parents intend to raise them abroad. What are the benefits of having a child with American citizenship?
Well, the benefits of having a child with U.S. citizenship is that child can later sponsor you for lawful permanent residence.
Anchor baby.
It also makes the...
That's an anchor baby.
Child eligible for all sorts of things that come along with U.S. citizenship, which is entering and leaving the United States. The implications of that from a national security or criminal perspective are enormous. So this is truly frightening. And it's shocking to me that there is so much debate about this. I think if we're arguing about this, we've sort of lost the concept of what citizenship is and what it means.
He's absolutely right. And if you look at the people that argue for this, it's usually immigration lawyers, which they have a financial incentive to keep people in this country. That's how they make their money. This is why I can't stand immigration lawyers. I'm sure some of them do some work that's maybe good. But the immigration lawyers, those are the ones that, let's say an illegal immigrant is drunk driving and kills a family member of yours. Those immigration lawyers are the ones that are fighting to keep that person in this country. So that's the kind of stuff they do. And a lot of these activists, a lot of these that are behind these lawsuits that where you have all these judges coming in, a lot of them are connected to immigration lawyers. Immigration lawyers obviously have an incentive to keep mass immigration going because that's how they make their money. And they don't care who they hurt. It's just their bottom line. They don't really care who they keep in this country. It's not about that. I like Tom Homan a lot. Here's Tom Homan.
Most vulnerable are not going to...
So that guy that they just got a guy in Virginia, an MS-13 member. This guy was like a really high-ranking like gang leader, MS-13, really dangerous dude. They just picked him up about an hour and a half from where I am right now. And this is what Tom Homan is talking about. So they tweeted out, should he go to Gitmo or CCOT? I think he's probably going to CCOT. CCOT is that mega prison that's in El Salvador. So this guy that they just picked up in Virginia, he's the MS-13 member. He's from El Salvador, so he's probably going to CCOT. CCOT is that giant terrorist confinement center, and the Trump administration did designate MS-13 as a terrorist organization. Here's Tom Homan.
I think it's going to open up a lot of eyes. I think illegal aliens, the most vulnerable, are not going to spend their life savings to hand it to a criminal cartel to come to the United States, knowing we end up catching release. You're not going to be released in the United States. You're going to be deported immediately. And as the Secretary said, we got a lot of tools in the toolbox.
I do too. I love Tom. And one of my favorite things about him, Kelly, is you can tell he really does care about what he's doing. He's no BS. I think this is his second time coming out of retirement to work for Trump. So he's passionate about what he's doing. He loves getting the bad guys, and he's funny.
I think it's going to open up a lot of eyes. I think illegal aliens, the most vulnerable, are not going to spend their life savings to hand it to a criminal cartel to come to the United States, knowing we end up catching release. You're not going to be released in the United States. You're going to be deported immediately. And as the Secretary said, we got a lot of tools in the toolbox. El Salvador prison's one. We got Gitmo. We got other countries. So for those countries who push back on taking their criminal nationals back, we'll send them to another country. We got a lot of tools in this toolbox. Again, President Trump's a game changer. We got illegal immigration on board down 96% because of the policies of the Trump administration. And we got, like I say, record number of criminals. We still got a lot more to do in the interior, but we got the right team put together. This is the greatest team I've seen in my over 40 years serving as a special agent, a border patrol agent. I've never seen a team this serious about making this country safe. We got a great president. He's got a great team. So I wake up every day like a kid in the candy shop, getting ready to go to work. Because I know we're making a difference every day.
I love it. And I have to tell you, it's so much more fun covering this now that they're going and getting the bad guys and stuff is happening. And I've said this before, I think it was divine timing. I don't know if Trump was supposed to be the president in 2020. I think that 4 years in between, it really allowed him to take the time, put this team together. I love Trump 2.0. I love it so much. And, yeah, I think if he was elected right away again in 2020, we wouldn't have this whole team. We might have had some of these players, but we wouldn't have had this entire team. And they're going out and getting the bad guys. But unfortunately, and they've prepared for this, you are going to have these just ridiculous activist judges, these ridiculous activist teams. You're going to have problems every step of the way. They're going to be challenged every single step of the way. But the good news is, again, Trump has a solid team and they're prepared for this. They said, we're prepared. We're going to have legal battles every step of the way. So I love it. United States of Trump. It's nice to see some strength back. I feel like just the past 4 years under Biden, it was so weak. It was just such a mess, such a fumble, everything. And I just got so tired of seeing weakness, to be honest with you. Speaking of Dream Team, here's Marco Rubio.
If you go apply for a visa right now.
So we give you a visa to come. Okay, so they're talking about stopping funding from some of these universities. Kelly said, I loved Golf of America. Kelly, did you hear, who was it? I think it was Lauren Boebert. She said, she called out the people making fun of the Gulf of America. She goes, you guys are laughing now. Wait until we call Washington, D.C. the District of America. We might just do that next. Yeah, I loved that, Kelly. That was one of my favorites. And they did it so quickly, too. Okay, so they're talking about stripping funding from some of these universities that allow all of these foreign students. So, obviously Columbia University was having a lot of issues with the protests that were going on, where they were actually commandeering buildings and blocking students from going to class. They were literally passing out terrorist propaganda. That's how bad it was. And if you study radical Islam, this is one of their tactics. They get people to immigrate to the United States. They get them to destabilize. They get them to recruit people, basically being little pawns for radical Islam. And that's how they spread their jihad. There's different kinds of jihad. That's how they do it. They infiltrate politics, universities, businesses, law enforcement. That's what they do. They infiltrate and then they destabilize and they spread Islam. So that's what I suspect is going on a lot of these universities. And Columbia University, first of all, you can apply. If you're a foreign student, you can apply and get free financial aid, essentially, if you qualify. Also, Columbia University, which is at the center of a lot of this stuff, they have the highest population of foreign students. Oh, thank you so much, Kelly. How is Eva and your mom? Let me finish this because I have news. Okay, let's listen to this, but this is what's happening, and now they're talking about stopping foreign funding.
We revoked her visa. It's an F1 visa, I believe. We revoked it, and here's what.
So they revoked the visa of another student that was causing this chaos on campus, which I'm totally for. In my opinion, this is not a freedom of speech issue. This is, we allowed you to come here to the United States. We gave you this visa. We're helping you to educate you. And now you're trying to destabilize and intimidate other American citizens on campus. You can go. You can just go.
Why? And I'll say it again. I said it everywhere. Let me be abundantly clear, okay? If you go apply for a visa right now, anywhere in the world, let me just send this message out. If you apply for a visa to enter the United States and be a student, and you tell us that the reason why you're coming to the United States is not just because you want to write op-eds, but because you want to participate in movements that are involved in doing things like vandalizing universities, harassing students, taking over buildings, creating a ruckus, we're not going to give you a visa. If you lie to us and get a visa and then enter the United States and with that visa participate in that sort of activity, we're going to take away your visa. And once you've lost your visa, you're no longer legally in the United States, and we have a right, like every country in the world has a right, to remove you from our country. So it's just that simple. I think it's crazy. I think it's stupid for any country in the world to welcome people into their country that are going to go to your universities as...
He's right. It is stupid. We're a bunch of suckers. You're going to let people in, give them a gift, give them that privilege, and then they just come, and it is stupid.
Visitors. They're visitors. And say, I'm going to your universities to start a riot. I'm going to your universities to take over a library and harass people. I don't care what movement you're involved in.
Exactly.
Why would any country in the world allow people to come and disrupt? Now, we gave you a visa to come and study and get a degree, not to become a social activist that tears up our university campuses. And if we've given you a visa and then you decide to do that, we're going to take it away. I encourage every country to do that.
And most Americans don't have the privilege to go to these universities. Columbia University, most Americans are never going to have that privilege. Most Americans can't afford it.
By the way, because I think it's crazy to invite students into your country that are coming onto your campus and destabilizing it. We're just not going to have it. So we'll revoke your visa, and once your visa is revoked, you're illegally in the country and you have to leave. Every country in the world has a right to decide who comes in as a visitor and who doesn't. If you invite me into your home because you say, I want to come to your house for dinner, and I go to your house and I start putting mud on your couch and spray painting your kitchen, I bet you're going to kick me out. Well, we're going to do the same thing if you come into the United States as a visitor and create a ruckus for us. We don't want it. We don't want it in our country. Go back and do it in your country. But you're not going to do it in our country.
Bye, Tony. All right, Kelly, my mom is doing really, really good. My mom is very healthy. She's doing great. She's so excited because we got a new addition to the family. I'll get to that in a second. My baby, Eva, I have news. She passed away early. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. I haven't been able to talk about it because I just cry. Oh my gosh, it broke my heart into 5 million pieces. So Eva she was 11 years old. So she was getting up there, an inside outside cat. So she was very healthy her whole life, but she started getting, it was okay. Thank you, Kelly. It was her time. I had noticed that in the past year, she started slowing down a lot. She was my baby, you all, my baby. I'm going to do a little tribute for her, but I haven't been able to, I can't even look at videos of her. I just start crying. It's actually amazing that I'm able to talk about her this month, but it happened earlier this month. So we had like a bunch of snowstorms, and I noticed that during these storms, she was just very lazy, very lethargic, and I had started noticing that. So I was planning on, she had a vet appointment upcoming, and like I said, she was 11, so it's normal she slowed down a little bit, but for a few days, I'm like, I don't know, this really isn't right. So I'm observing her, and then one morning she just wouldn't eat anything, and that was not, I even went out and got her like a different kind of food. I tried to feed her out of my finger, and she wouldn't take any food. So I took her to the vet. She was very anemic. Her platelets were really low. So it was either I put her in the emergency room for a few days. It would have been $10,000 at least for a few days for her to be in there. Or I just tried to get her healthy on my own. And even if we got her anemia away, even if we got her platelets up, we still didn't know what was going on with her. And I really felt like it was kind of her time. So I took her home. We got her steroids. For 4 days, I was nursing her. Like, she was on my lap and I was nursing her for 4 days. And the poor thing, she passed away in my arms. It was just her time. It was so sad. But yeah. Oh my goodness. I've had her for 11 years. She was just my little buddy. But yeah, it was just, she passed away. But she went very peacefully. She went in my arms and I was with her for we were just like together for the last 4 days. And I'm thankful that I was able to take time off and be with her. But yeah, she passed away. But what I was going to tell you here, I'll show you, there is an update. So a few weeks after she passed away, we did get a new pet. So we got a dog named Bella. I'll show you Bella. So, you know, Eva went out. It was her time. You did the hard part and kept her in love till the end. Yeah, oh my gosh, I'm going to start crying. Don't cry. This is why I can't talk. I wanted to do a video where I do like a little tribute for her, but this is what happens. I'm just thinking, oh my gosh. This is what pets do to you. I'm just really glad that I didn't have to take her in to put her down. She passed away here like really peacefully, and she was comfortable and around everything that she loves. So I'm glad that I didn't have to make that decision, and she had enough medicine to where like she was really comfortable until her last day. But yeah, she went peacefully. She's buried in the garden in her favorite little spot. And the good news is you gave her a great life, and I guarantee oh, thank you. Yeah, she had such a fun life. Why am I crying? Oh man. Yeah, she had a really fun life. She in the last 5 years, I know, I'm so sorry. And the last 5 years she was here on the farm just living her best life. And to end it on something positive, you know, we were actually able to give another pet a home. I'm going to show you Bella. So Bella's the new addition. She's a doggy. I have a video of her. So, you know, I've been staying with my mom. So my mom she's on oxygen, so she's kind of sick, and she's wanted a little dog. So a few weeks after Eva passed, we were like, okay, I think it's time to bring a new pet. And we found Bella, this little dog. Bella is 8 years old. We got her from the shelter. She's a Maltese mixed with Yorkie, and she makes my mom so happy. So this is Bella. Let me show you her. So, you know, Eva, she went off to kitty heaven. It was her time. And then we were able to give Bella a home, which is kind of cool. So it's weird how things work out. But this is Bella. Ready? Bella, the new dog, got groomed. Sorry, this is dirty. Bella, let's show everyone. Look how cute you are. She had elderly owners, and they were just too old, and they were a little bit ill, and they couldn't take care of her properly, and they didn't groom her face, so her hair was all grown out over her eyes, and it was all matted. She had hair nuggets. She's 8, didn't you? Yeah, you did. And we finally were able to get her groomed. Oh my goodness. She's so cute. Okay, I'm next to a pile of laundry. Don't judge. Bella. She also doesn't like to be alone, so, you know, this is just how we sit. This is how we She doesn't like to be alone. Oh, you're so sweet. Okay. So Bella now, and it's crazy the timing with Bella too, because like she's 8 years old, so she's older. But by the way, her breed, she can live to be probably about 17 years old, and I have a feeling she's a very young 8 years old. We weren't gonna get an animal that old, but oh my gosh, my mom is so happy. That's her little buddy. That's why I was like, you know, I think it was Eva's time, and you know, when one pet leaves, you're able to, when the time is right, give another pet a home. And Bella, so she's 8 years old. She lived with she lived with an elderly couple, and they were just too old and ill to take care of her. So they dropped her off at the shelter, at the animal shelter, and she was only there for like 2 days. And then we came and got her. We were looking for a small dog just because of my mom's health conditions. We can't have too big of a dog because my mom won't be able to take care of it. And it's really hard to find small dogs at shelters. They're gone like that. But pets are like family in our house. They really are, and she's brought so much joy. And Eva was my family, and it was I mean, oh my gosh, I was devastated. I was a mess for like a week and a half, an absolute mess. But I still get choked up. But Bella, so she was only at this shelter for a few days, and then we came and got her, and she's so at home. She loves it here. She's so happy. But you could tell they couldn't really take care of her. Her face was all matte. She's got that type of fur that you have to clean it a lot because she'll get her food all in it, and she has to stay groomed because her facial hair will grow out. But yeah, they just couldn't take care of her. But we came in. She was only at the shelter for 2 or 3 days, and then we got her and brought her home, and she loves it here. So she's having a great time, and she makes my mom really happy, so that's good. And she's like the perfect size for my mom. I think she's about 10 pounds, maybe a little over 10 pounds, so that's like the perfect size. It worked out really good. Yeah. So it's still hard though. I still miss Eva, and I think about her all the time, and so that's still hard, but she's in a better place. It was her time. Anyway. So there's that. That's the update with Eva. I knew Kelly, Kelly, I thought about you too, because I was like, if I go live again and Kelly's here, she's going to ask, or yeah, you're going to ask. I'm going to have to explain Eva. I was like, what am I going to say? But yeah, you always ask about Eva. So I was like, okay. I wasn't able to talk. I'm like, I wanted to do a little tribute to Eva because I know a lot of people recognize her on this channel, but I haven't been able to really watch her videos. I have a lot of videos of our last few days together too, and I just haven't been able to watch them yet. Otherwise, the waterworks will come. But now there's a new mascot to the channel. Little Bella is the new one. Eva and Bella. But Eva, I miss her. Yeah. All right, you all. Well, that was everything that I had for you today. Thank you, though, for asking about Eva. And she's out there somewhere in kitty heaven. And now we have Bella. Thank you all so much. You all have a great rest of your Thursday. Tim P says, it's the same for me when I lost my 2 cats. Misty and Nyla, all my condolences for you, Sarah. I will miss Eva, too. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Harvey. Thank you, Tim. Rest easy, Eva. Thank you so much. Yeah, I miss her, but you know what? It's a part of having a pet. Bye, Sarah. Bye, Kelly. Bye, Tim. Yeah, it's a part of having a pet. You know, you're eventually, more than likely, you're going to outlive your pet. So I knew it was coming with Eva. It's crazy, too, the last year. Like I said, I've been noticing that she's been slowing down. And so I was like, you know, it's going to happen one day where I'm going to have to say goodbye to her. I didn't know it was going to happen so soon, but it did. It's okay, though. All right. Thank you so much, you all. Thank you, Kelly and Harvey. Tim. Who else did we have here? Danny. Thank you. Tony. All right, you all. Have a great Thursday, and I'll see you later. Bye. Bye, Marcia. You have a wonderful day, too. Bye, John. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you guys later. Bye. Sorry, I didn't mean to put my thumb there.